In this video, I'll answer the question, should you move into an expensive apartment? Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Greatness Everyday YouTube channel, where I make videos that challenge you to upgrade your mindset, your money, and more. So to find out when those videos come out, please go down, hit the subscribe button, and tap the bell to be notified when they're out. In this video, I'm going to answer a question that I got from an audience member. Mark sent me the question. He's basically saying that he is moving into a new apartment. That apartment is nice. It is expensive, let's say more than the average apartment. And he is asking, what do I think about that decision, because he knows some of the views that I have on personal finance, some money hacks, etc. So I'm going to answer that specific question here in this video. If you agree with me, hit the thumbs up button. And if you have something to add, or maybe you don't agree with me for any other reason, go ahead and drop it down into the comment section below. And to start, I do want to say that I believe it's okay to live in nice places. I've lived in some very nice apartments myself, and I've also lived in some very basic and simple apartments. And between the two, there's been really no difference in terms of who I am and the happiness that it brings me. But I'm going to give you two important things to consider when you're facing this dilemma, whether it's with an apartment, whether it's to buy a house or something else in your own life. So the very first thing that I believe is it comes down to your values. And this shouldn't be a surprise for those of you that watch my channel. I talk about values a lot, and I talk about how those guide the decisions, or at least should guide the decisions that we make in our day-to-day life. And buying a house, living in a nice apartment really comes down to that framework as well. So is it in line with your values? And for me, I would value things like being able to travel, being able to buy nice things, being able to go on and experience things as some of the things that are higher in importance to me than living in a nice area or living in a nice apartment, living in a nice house, right? Those are some basic things to consider, right? So for me, that's the very first place that I would start. Is it in line with your values? And also within your values, yes, I value comfort. Yes, I value nice things and all of those luxuries that come with having a really nice apartment. But I would probably place those things that I just described as freedom, those things that I just described as being able to travel, having nice experiences, building relationships with the people that are on those experiences with me. Those are some of the things that I value more than having the latest and greatest thing, which is nice, which is awesome. It's so much fun to have all of those different things. And depending on where you're at in your life kind of journey, I do believe you can have all of those things at once. So that's the very first place that I want to start. If I look at Mark and the person that's asking this question, I know that he values comfort. So if we're going ahead and comparing kind of what he values to somebody else, that's a totally different ballgame here, right? He might have friends that would be willing to, like me, I go ahead and right now, the place that I'm currently living is, let's say, much cheaper than I would like to. Let's say if I was married or if I had a family or if whatever, fill in the blank there for whatever works for you. But for me, some of the things that he values is comfort. So I know that he is going to be much more comfortable finding a place that suits his specific needs. That might mean he has to pay a little bit more because of what he thinks is important to him. Whereas somebody else that he knows or myself going in a little bit cheaper apartment might not be a big deal to them because of their values. So I don't want to kind of keep beating that point home, but that's definitely the first place to start. And one more thing to add there is the fact that, are you going to be in this apartment temporarily or permanently, right? Maybe you're going ahead and you're saying, for a year or two while I'm saving up for a home, I'm going to be in this apartment. That could be the decision that you made. That's a decision that I made because I was able to find a really good, decent apartment for a very cheap price. And then from there, what I've done is I'm saving up for a house. And I would rather take my money that's going to stay with me and use that to buy a really nice house than I would a really nice apartment. So that's just my personal decision. And the second piece to my response is a little bit more related to the personal finance or budgeting side of things that you would typically expect an answer to come from, right? And looking at the percent of the money that you have coming in every single month, what percent would that apartment cost, right? So there's a few different stats that you can look at there. A lot of people will say, oh, I can afford a $1,000 apartment, or I'm getting a $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 apartment. And that number literally is not a good aspect that we should be analyzing and we should be going ahead and basing our decision off of. I really believe the number that we should be considering is really comes from the percent of wealth that you have coming in, or your monthly percent income that actually represents. So let's say for me, when I actually look at what my rent costs, and you can add other things in this too, but the rent piece compared to my average monthly income that I have coming in every single month, it's actually only about 15%. Okay. So 15% is pretty decent. That's pretty low, because some people will be 50% of their average monthly income. Some people will be even way more than that. And I think once you start creeping up higher and higher, well, there's less money to do with the things that you're going to want to do. So for me, that means traveling, or that means being able to invest in good equipment for me to go out and do triathlons like I like to do, or go hiking, or whatever it is, go on cool experiences that I really get a lot out of, right? So those are some of the decisions that I've made. If I can keep my rent down as low as possible, I've got a lot more money to do those things. I have a lot more money to save for a house. I have a lot more money to go ahead and invest, like I talk about so much here on this channel, and it's been so good to me, right? That's what I really want to do with my money. And when I'm doing all of those things, I mean, I'm not even going to be at home in my apartment anyway. So why would I spend a lot of money on that when I'm not even going to be there half the time, or maybe even more than that? Right. So my goal with apartments and the stage of life that I'm in right now is to make my apartment as cheap as possible and to spend as little time in that apartment as I can. It's in a good spot. It's a good location. It's very quiet. It's clean, etc. But I want to be out doing things. So when you go ahead and look at the percent of wealth that actually represents in the monthly payments of your apartment, I think that's a better decision, because for some people, $2,000 is an insane amount of money. That's more money than they make in an entire month. And then for other people, $2,000 would be such a small percent of their monthly income. They would have no problem spending that on an apartment at all. If I look at, like I said, my monthly income, it's 15%. But if I look at how much my net worth grew over the last month, it's actually just under 4%. So, I mean, I'm living under 4% of what my net worth increased by, because I'm good with my money by investing and doing other things last month alone. So that's awesome. And if I could, I would love to get that number down to 1%. Obviously within reason. So that is the number that I really think you should be focusing on. Don't focus on the dollar amount. You should be focusing on the percent of your monthly income to go ahead and make that decision. And ultimately, you get to decide what number is right for you. That could be 15%, like I said. That could be 25, 40, 50%, depending on who you are, what you value, and the things that you really enjoy in your life. So those are the two things that I would say in response to Mark. If you have any other questions for me related to mindset, money, or more, any other topics as well, go ahead and comment those down below. Maybe send those to me on Instagram, like I had Mark do, and I'd really enjoy answering that for you. Not that I have the right answers to every single thing, but when it comes down to those areas, I really enjoy talking about these things, and I think I'll at least give you something to think about and consider before you make the decisions that you make. So I really hope that this video helped you. If it did, please hit the thumbs up button, go down and drop any comments below, and click the subscribe button to find out when new videos related to mindset, money, and more come out here on the Greatness Everyday YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Remember, choose greatness every day, and I'll see you next time.